Well, aging is something we all deal with, at least if you're lucky enough to reach the point of talking about aging. So we're going to be talking about that today. And I have Susan Young, who's a life coach. So I am conscious of aging, Susan. So what is conscious aging?
Conscious aging is a way that we look at what are the belief systems around aging and how can we change our response in this youth-obsessed culture as we get older.
Okay. It seems like they talk about aging as being a disease that needs to be eradicated. You don't have to watch much television. Reverses the signs of aging. Gets rid of this, and you'll look more youthful. And it's talked about like it's a disease. And I never quite got that, and I don't get lying about your age or hiding your age. I just turned 73. It's not a big deal. So what do you talk about in your course?
Well, in the 4 weeks that we get together in Conscious Aging, we look at our own belief systems that we've taken in from the culture. So because we're so obsessed with youth, what are the ways that we might carry our fears as we age? And how is that reflected in our culture around us? Can we change the way we age by changing our beliefs about that? And how do we also look back at our lives behind us and we say, what are our most significant influences? What are the things that have had heart and meaning in my life? So we do a lot of writing and sharing and exploring by watching videos and reading.
So is it also that you, how to put this, you look back on your life and you say, what is it I always wanted to do, and why can't I do that right now? Is there some of that? And saying, why, like, what's holding you back now? just because you're getting older, what's your problem?
We don't really look at what our terms of what we want to change around our purpose, although that might come out of it for you. We want to look at what have been the most significant influences in your life and what do you want to carry forward. What has had heart and meaning? So what has meant the most? So for some people, when I've facilitated this program, that might be their children. It might be their career was deeply meaningful. It might be they did a spiritual practice that was important to them. It might be physical health and wellness. So we look at all elements, and then at the very end, we create a new vision for our aging. So maybe that's part of what you mean there. Is there a way that we can move forward into our aging with less fear that we're going to be not thriving and happy and healthy?
And recognizing that things will change.
Yes, accepting our mortality is key to healthy aging. The research is clear about that. Accepting that we are aging and not pretending that I'm 40 anymore. I'm 64, I'm not 40. Right. And if I get stuck in that, then I do things that don't contribute to a thriving older age.
I consider aging as a privilege because I think of, I celebrate birthdays, and every birthday I reflect on the people I've lost who didn't make it this far. And I lost 2 friends in 1 year, and neither of them were even 40. One breast cancer, one ovarian cancer. Yes. And I look back at the last, so many years, and I think, wow, look at all the things that I've done in those years, and they missed out on that.
Yeah.
And so I think I am so fortunate that I can reach this. What about role models? People that, I have a few who are considerably older than I am.
Okay.
And wow.
Yeah.
I have a friend, she winters in Florida, and she sent me a picture of her painting the eaves trough of her RV. And I found out it wasn't just the eaves trough she was painting, it was the whole thing she decided to repaint. This is a woman who reupholstered her car. I've never heard of even doing that, but she did. She's 92.
Wow.
That's what I like to look at them and say, wow, there is something to aspire to.
Yeah, I love that, the way you thought of that, Donna, that thing about how can I aspire to get older in a way, and when I look at others ahead of me, how does that allow me? In my last program I taught, there was an 87-year-old who was so full of vim and vigor. And she talked about that, still living in her large house and running it herself, and really remarkable, and had some fear about being alone and aging and what that meant for her. So it's the both and. How do I get older and accept my mortality? I think Thomas More says in one of his books, Care of the Soul, he talks about being with the melancholy of aging,
Okay.
and mustering up all the joy we can each moment, because both of those things are true. Aging is hard. Watching the people around us die or get sick. We ourselves might get sick. But if we have the privilege, I love that you said that, the privilege to age, and if we keep our health, how do we kind of bring ourselves into aging consciously so that we don't necessarily get stuck into a feeling of, you know, loneliness or sadness, or it's not all that.
What are some of the key things that you talk about that would help anybody out there who is, and aging can start, well, I mean, you start aging the day you're born, let's face it, but there's a certain point where you have to say, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. What are some of the key things that people should be working on?
Well, my courses are available to anyone 55 or over. So I think until we hit around 55, 60, we don't really start to understand and accept our mortality. And then part of the things we're looking at is what in the past has influenced us, but what am I stuck on today? If I believe that I should be younger than I am, if I feel fearful or frightened of what's ahead of me to come, what do I need to look at so I can live each day with more happiness, joy? Is there anything undone in your life, such as the new MAID program, reasonably made in the last 7 years, reasonably new, where they're looking at, can we set up our advanced planning directive with a substitute decision maker so that we can choose our time of death if we were to get dementia, Alzheimer's, had a catastrophic illness like a stroke. Those are some of the things we look at in the course, in the program. Any actions that we need to do looking forward.
What are some of the advantages of aging?
That is something we look at as well, Donna. Thank you for saying that. So the advantage is the gift of looking at our own wisdom. There is a place as you come into your 60s and 70s and 80s where I think we have a whole life of experience that we can draw on and tap into our wisdom and mentor others. There's a book called From Aging to Saging that talks about wisdom doesn't just happen to people. They have to cultivate it. So I don't know about you, but I've known a few elders who have been pretty cantankerous and not easy to get along with, and I've known some elders who have been deeply wise and have mentored me as I move into my aging process. So that's something we look at. How do we cultivate wisdom so that we can become wise elders?
I find it's little things. It's like in the morning getting my tea and then saying, oh, really, I should get up and get going. Oh, wait a minute, I don't have to. I don't have to do anything. I have total freedom here. And how many years do you spend jumping out of bed, hitting the shower, getting out the door, and all this? And I think, this is okay. I'm okay doing this. And I also find my filter is getting almost non-existent.
Okay.
Something happens, I think, around age 50, where you just don't give a darn anymore. And, you know, you kind of say what's on your mind a little more freely than you do when you're younger and you're in that approval trap. And now suddenly, I don't need people's approval. I'm fine.
Yeah, don't you leave, hit the nail the nail on the head with that, Donna. We need less and less approval. There's more freedom as we get older, and we don't have that same, we're not driven to take care of children and to be with teachers and all those things. Instead, we could get to be more free, like the Raging Grannies. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but those radical gals who just said, I'm just going to live as I want. And
absolutely. Yeah. So you have this course, it's 4 weeks. You meet weekly, and is it in person or is it by Zoom, or how are you doing
It's
this?
online. We've done the last couple online.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the next one starts April 20th.
Okay.
And we have a free info session the week before, so people can come and hear more about what it is. And you know, I have a well-researched, I'm a research nerd, so I'm on top of the research, the new research around aging, because changes are happening really quickly in neuroscience,
Right.
what the aging process, what we can do to stay well, so we look at some of those. We do some visualizations. What would your day be like when you're 100 years old? There's research that
Okay.
shows that our brain changes when we visualize what our life will be like, a day in the
Wow.
life of.
So let's look into. So if someone wanted to join your info session, how do they do that?
They can email me at info@susancoach.ca or go to my website at susancoach.ca, and there's information on the website.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming in
Thank
today.
you, Donna.